Thank you guys for coming in. Thank you guys for being a part of this group. For those of you who are new to the group, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Jennifer-Yarbrough. I am your nonprofit expert. For those of you guys who are just joining the group, I've got over 30 years of experience helping nonprofit leaders start, grow, and to sustain their nonprofit businesses. And so many of you guys have heard. If you have not heard, where have you been? About the upcoming two-day VIP retreat that I will be doing the end of August and the beginning of September, and so on and so on. So you guys have been hearing little bits and pieces, little mini commercials about the retreat, but I wanted to introduce you to some, and to just, those of you who know her, love her, and call her friend. I wanted to just share this space with her because a little bit about my experience with Zakiya Esper, who is the executive director and founder of Sowing Seeds in the Midland. Let me tell you, Zakiya is one of those people that when we met, we calculated now about 6 years ago, 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah, 2017.
It was an interesting time in her organization. I'll let her tell the story. But one of the things that I have learned from Zakiya is passion, right? Passion for change, passion to touch her community, passion to make a difference, a real difference in the lives of the young people that she serves. And so I'm going to let her introduce herself, introduce the organization that she has founded and started. And then we're just going to have a conversation because she's going to be one of the trainers and coaches in the two-day retreat. I won't tell you more about that. You'll just have to be there to know more about that, but you don't want to miss this opportunity. So good morning or good afternoon, Zakiya. I know we're on a huge time difference, but I want you to please introduce yourself to the community. Many people know you already. You are such an influencer on your own and know so many things about so many things. I definitely admire you for all the things that you do in the world, but introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your organization, and then let's have this conversation.
Looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Jen.
Can you guys hear her? I can't hear her. I can't hear you.
Let's see.
All right.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Okay.
Yeah, my AirPods died. As soon as you said, go ahead, I'm like, of course you would. So thank you so much for that kind introduction, friend. I always have to remind myself that to me, you are still my coach. And I hear you saying, oh, colleague and friend and all that. I'm like, yeah, those things too. But Jen is still my coach. I tell people all the time that I have a nonprofit coach and her name is Jenniferyarbrough. Okay. But I am the founder and executive director of Sowing Seeds into the Midlands. Our mission is to interrupt the school to prison pipeline via advocacy, education, and direct services. We've been around since 2013, which means in October, this will be 9 years, which sounds just wild, like unthinkable that I've been doing this, that we've been doing this for 9 years. And it's been a journey, like Jen said, I am a very passionate person. And I started this organization because I was a juvenile probation officer. I saw firsthand the obstacles and barriers that our young people were up against to discontinue and eliminate that contact with the criminal justice system. I just saw it from the inside out, and I set out to create pathways to help them, one, just check the boxes. They're giving you this checklist of things that kids have to do when they get put on probation. And in our community, none of those things existed. So it felt like a setup to me. So Seeds to me was never this big, grand, imaginative idea. I literally took this list and created those services. That's all I did. And made them accessible and made them culturally competent. I really created them with the people who were going to need them in mind versus creating them with the system in mind, which is a lot of times, the way that works. And it took off, it caught it caught on fire out the gate, as far as, you know, the need was so great that the service providers were sending us referrals. You know, we were getting 10s, 12, sometimes a day, you know, young people just being sent to us, and not just service providers, but parents and churches and community people who knew young people who needed these things. We were just inundated with support. And what I realized very quickly was we didn't have the money to do these great ideas that that I had cooked up. We didn't have the money to really see them through in a way that they deserve to be, you know, seen through. And so, as Jen knows, when she met me, I was doing this really weird, like, robbing Peter to pay Paul kind of thing. Nothing, like, I would bring in 15K maybe, right? And then immediately spend that money on a program and then end up back at square one with no money, right? And if any of you have done a real budget, you know, 15K, if I'm running 4 programs on 15K, ain't nobody getting paid. Nobody's being paid, right? Like, we are just running off passion. So while I love that Jen's like, you know, you taught me about passion, I learned really quickly that passion fizzles, that it is not sustainable. An organization cannot run off good vibes and good intentions. It's like, it's good. It's like good to have that kind of heart, but it's not gonna, you don't get very far with that. So the journey of Seeds has been lots of peaks and valleys. We've touched a lot of young people. We've helped a lot of young people, and we've been impactful. I can say that, and I'm really proud to say that. But the way that we've done it, for most of the time that we've been doing it, isn't sustainable. And 2020 really slowed me down. Like, I think it did a lot of people. And I feel like what's frustrating about it is, you remember, Jen, in 2019, I was kind of really starting to get my footing. And 2020 kind of brought everything to a stop for the world, not just us. And it did give me the opportunity to look back at how we've been doing things, and to just be really honest with myself and my community about how we cannot keep doing it that way, you know. And I made a decision not to relaunch these programs until they are fully funded. If it's not a funded program, it's not running, right? And I was only really able to stand in that so flat-footed because of what I've learned from Jen, what I know this is supposed to look like. And 2020 slowing me down gave me a chance to really look at how it looks. And I'm like, oh, it's still not really what it should look like. And so, not rushing, not jumping back into the frying pan like I do, because I'm passionate and like my heart wants to be back. You know, I want those kids back into Seeds house today, yesterday. But until we really, you know, study this thing, not yet. So Jen, we are in a valley moment as an org, as you know, but I know how this thing is supposed to look, and I know how it's supposed to look because of you. And so if I jump back in before it's ready, I'll end up back where I was in 2017, where you had me at that kitchen table at that masterclass. I don't even know who's in the group, Jen. Are there people in the group from the masterclass that remember that week that we spent together, where it really was just like boot camp? It really was like a look at all of it. And they not there. I can't see the comments. They knew. Yeah, it changed everything. So now I know, and I'm ready. I'm excited about the work that we're doing together now on Seeds, but also the work we'll get to do together with these other orgs and amazing leaders that you have in your group. I'm just grateful for the opportunity. So that was a long intro, but that's a little bit about where we are and where we've been, and, you know, why we do what we do.
Well, listen, I got to tell you that our time together at the masterclass, it was what, 4 days, 5 days of grind from the time we woke up to the time we went to bed. But one of the things that I learned, you know, from that process is that in-person learning is different than online learning, right? Because we were able to just really strategize together. We were able to work out problems together. And I just am I'm a believer in learning. I'm a believer in knowing what you're doing, knowing why you're doing it, not just that, but knowing how to do it, particularly when you're dealing with lives. And Zakiya, my rants
I do.
that I can get on about people who start this business with no knowledge of what to expect. Now, the thing about that grieves me the most is that we're touching lives. It's not like you're doing it by yourself, right? If it were just you doing it, but you want to make a difference in someone's life, and it's not just the program. It has to be the community. It has to be the connection. It has to be the funding. It has to be the ability to run and succeed in the business. Now that, you all, I will not take you down my path and my rabbit hole of rant, but I want to encourage you because it can be done.
Yeah,
it can be done. And it can be done for you, not just for Zakiya, not just for other people, but it can be done for those people who understand how it's done. I'm a big how-to person. I'm not a theory person. I think I'm too much of a realist. I'm like do this. This is how you do this. Oh, your organization looks like this. You do it this way. And this is how you do it. And I think that if we as a people would appreciate learning and knowledge and growing in an expert level of something, and not just kind of hustling our way through, and not to say that that's what anyone is doing or that's not anyone's mindset, but that's what it looks like when we don't have a budget, when we don't have a strategy, when we don't have anything but passion, and we want people to give of their time, give of their money, give of their resources. But we're really just hustling. We're just kind of hustling along. And this 2-day retreat, I'm excited about. When you came to the retreat, to the boot camp, as you call it, boot camp, it was like a boot camp. We ate together, we cooked meals together. I mean, it was
like 6. And we was working till like
it was a thing.
I had never been to California before. I saw that city for like 2.5 hours. We worked the entire time we were there. It was not a vacation. It was beautiful, don't get me wrong, but it was work. We came to work.
Exactly.
Not for leisure. But
it was a precious time.
Oh, you were going to ask me a question about when I came. When I came, were you going to ask me what did I expect or what happened or what was it? I don't want to cut you off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would like for you to just share, what you would encourage others. Yeah. Why would anyone else get advantage out of this 2-day retreat?
Sure. I want to talk a little bit about what I experienced at the masterclass, right? I came in with, and like Jen said, passion is great, but it doesn't sustain what I think most of us, if not all of us, are here to build, and to create an impact. And so I am a forest person and Jen is a trees person. And I think that's a lot of why we are so valuable to each other. Because you need all kinds, right? But you really need trees people when you're a visionary, right? I'm somebody who I can see where we're headed. I really can see it and I believe it. And I trust that like along the way, we're going to get to that thing. And Jen's like, yeah, but how? And I'm like, I don't know. But we'll figure it out if we keep going. But she's like, no, sit down and tell me how, right? And I am somebody who needs people like that on my team and in my corner. And that was one of the best things that came out of the masterclass for me. I came in with this Ziploc bag full of, Jen told me, because I build great relationships. I meet people. I am able to connect with people in a way that is meaningful for both parties. And so Jen knew that and had picked up just on some of our conversations that I was out here meeting people and not following up, not like, making sure that I was letting people know how to support me. People know how to get me and if they want my support, and they do, they reach and pull for me all the time. I don't do so good the other way. And she sensed that. And she told me, bring every business card you have. And I showed up with a gallon Ziploc bag of business cards. And Jen was able to help me put it in a way that was organized. First of all, it's like, I still have that too, Jen. I still have that. It's like these sleeves for business cards. Who knew? I wouldn't see somebody like me. I got a pile of them over here. I'm like, oh, that's organized. See trees, forest trees, right? But she also was able to help me flip through it and see like, oh, this is someone you could call about this, legislation you want to get done. This is somebody you could call to help you make sure that you are, top of mind when they're building out the city budget. She was able to help me see like, oh, these are resources that I am really overlooking and just kind of squandering. And do you remember, Jen, we found that one business card of a senator who had passed away, who like, and I'd had it for years, and he's a great guy, an advocate, especially around like AIDS and STIs and STDs and pregnant. And we do sex education. And she's like, Zakiya, why haven't you? And it's somebody I met who was very impressed with us, and I just didn't follow up. So that was a huge like aha for me, and I really do my best now to, when I meet people, even if I just shoot them email, hey, it was great to meet you today, just to have that contact going. And if I need something, I have asked. I've been better about that, Jen. You remember last year I went on that tour with all these legislators about that ARP money? I did it. I'm doing the thing, right? But another thing that stands out to me from the master class, and I mentioned that because it seems minor, but if you don't have the lens or that kind of mindset, that's not something that would have ever occurred to me to like go through. So having somebody like Jen in my space to listen and hear where I'm missing things is just super valuable. But the other thing was that budget. And y'all, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not a numbers girl. So whenever we start talking about quantitative versus qualitative stuff in these organizations and the ways that we tell our stories, like I am down for the qualitative. You know that, Jen. I could tell a story about my kids and the reach and the impact and the systems. I can do that. I struggle when it comes to the numbers and tracking, and I have all the data, but putting it together in a way that's digestible for funders, for beneficiaries, and for just community who wants to know, like, what are you doing? How is it working, and how do we get to track, the impact? That's valuable and something we have to be able to do as an organization. But also that budget, which is also numbers, would always trip me up. The difference between like a projected budget versus like, your actual budget and revenue and all those things. It just was this thing that I was really intimidated by, and I allowed it to become sort of like this monster, like that I avoided. We had one, it wasn't great. I would send it off, and I think for a while it was part of the reason why we weren't easy to fund, because I don't think it was something that funders understood or recognized as like legitimate. I wasn't lying. I just didn't have the capacity to really get into the weeds of like what this was supposed to look like. And honestly, we had worked on it virtually, I think, and I feel like we had been on some calls about it, but it really didn't sink in and click for me until we were in California when I was at that masterclass, and you said, tell me how much money you need to do this. And I was like, I don't know. I just, you know me, Jen, I have my moments where I'm just like, I don't know. I don't want to do that. And I don't know. I hate these numbers. And Jen said, you sit here and I'll be back. And she left me for like 2 hours. And I probably stared at my computer for the first hour, I'm not gonna lie. But the second hour I started to get somewhere, and I was like, Jen, I think this makes sense. I think, am I crazy? And you were like, it's close, and work on it a little bit more. And then once I got it to something that made sense for my organization, right? Because everybody's budget's not going to be the same. And I think that's where I was messing up too, Jen, trying to use people's templates and stuff. And we're not doing the same thing. You really got to understand what you're doing and why you're doing it for it to be able to make sense. You cannot just plug your stuff into other people's stuff. It just is not, it's not how it works. And Jen was able to help me make sense of the parts of it that were still a little fuzzy in the end. But I left there with a working budget that I continue to use to this day. I tweak it when needs, rise and fall, but that was 2017. But I know that is my template, right? I can't use something somebody put online. It just doesn't work for me. So that process of just I am somebody who works well collaboratively with people who I trust, and I trust you. And I think that is why that masterclass, being there with you in person, it just really feels like it catapulted our organization. You know, that's the first year that we did Seed Summer, and that has been our most impactful, most successful, most popular camp or program to date. People always ask and talk and rant about Seed Summer, where we bring 30 kids in for 5 weeks, 4 days, 3 hours a day. Who these are the young people who people have thrown away. These are the young people who people have decided are going to be locked up somewhere one day, or people have already tried to lock them up. And we have a great summer with 30 of those kids, right? That people just expect to be defiant and destructive and disruptive. And we have a great summer, and we did it for 3 years until COVID came in and tore things up. But I say that to say I really believe that going to California to that masterclass really just put us in a position to be able to do that in a way that made sense. And I'm excited to do it again soon. So that is what I took away from the masterclass. I took away so much more, but those two stories in particular always stand out to me because they were just really big aha moments for me. I remember not expecting at all to come away with this, like, because I thought I was building relationships in a way that made sense, but I really was just giving. Seeds was like, we were bleeding out. You know, we weren't asking for anything. And that's not it's not sustainable. So that and that budget, it really just changed how we have done business since 2017. So thank you, Jen, for being my trees person. Because you know, I always got a forest ahead of me. Always.
Well, listen, your budget you know, what you mentioned about the budget. And that's really one of the largest reasons why organizations are not funded. It's because they don't have a budget. Now, you know what you spend, you got receipts to prove what you spend, you got the bank statements, right? But that's not what a funder needs to see, nor does it give you the opportunity to forecast ahead for what you need. Listen, guys, I want you to join us and register. The link is in the comments. Zakiya is going to be one of the presenters and one of the coaches during the 2-day event. I've got a couple of other surprises of people who are going to come in and talk about mindset. It is so important right now, more than ever. Everything that's happening in the world, everything that's happening in the economy, everything that's happening in personal lives, as it relates to homelessness, financial challenges, need for mentoring, young people who are lost because their parents are frustrated. I mean, just so many sectors and community pockets that organizations that you run are needed. But in order for them to run, you've got to consider yourself as a business who can be competitive. This is a competitive field. Let me say this. I know that we all think there's room for more, and there is, but it's competitive. This is my realist hat on. You've got to compete for people's attention and for people's resources. And the way that you do that is through clarity and understanding of, one, your impact, articulating that and putting measurement of money associated with what that costs, and scalability. Now, let's have a brief conversation about scalability, because you and I have had this conversation about scaling is not just money.
Right.
That you need team, you need capacity to grow. And that's one of the things that I really want to focus on in this year. Coming out of COVID, I always said it was the organizations that did not have the capacity to grow, to maintain. And that wasn't money. That was plan to pivot, resources to help in that effort. That's capacity. And when funders are saying, we want to fund capacity, I need capacity money, that's not cash. Let's have just a minute conversation, Zakiya, because you and I have had this conversation about capacity and what that looks like. What does it mean to you as a nonprofit leader when you hear and have conversations about capacity building? And is it cash? Is it, you tell me what it is.
Well, for me, I mean, if it is cash, it's cash for me to hire staff, right? Because that builds my capacity for me to be able to have people who are able to run these programs, to so that I'm not doing everything, because there have been years where I was doing everything, right? And that's not sustainable. We don't have the capacity to run 4 and 5 programs with just an ED on staff. That's not reasonable, right? But sometimes capacity building to me looks like learning opportunities, right? Like I paid for the master class with a grant that was a capacity building grant, right? Like, so to me, that built our capacity because I was able to come and gain knowledge on how to, build out our budget, how to build and sustain these relationships and make sure that they are equitable and reciprocal, right? That to me is capacity building. Also, that people sometimes overlook opportunities to learn and gain knowledge, and not just for the ED, but for the rest of your staff too. Because if you have a program manager who, doesn't understand cultural competency, and they're bringing in people who are volunteers who are not familiar with your beneficiaries, then we're not, you know what I mean? Like, making sure that people have the knowledge, to me, is capacity building. Professional development is capacity building, which is this, to me, what you're talking about, this class, this master class, are we calling it a master class? That's just in my head because that's what I went to, y'all. Are we still calling it a master class, Jen?
Mm-hmm.
It is? Okay. Yeah, the master. I'm just making sure that I'm like, I don't want to mess up the title, but yeah, to me, that is capacity building. And that's what I've usually used, because I've gotten capacity building grants, and we usually use it on either bringing in somebody to share the workload with, or we use it on professional development trainings, because that, I feel like learning is how you create more space to do the work, right? Because a lot of us we have the referrals, we know where the people are who need the help. We have, we got these, I think we have the programs. Am I being presumptuous, Jen? I think we know what we want to do. We know, the way that we want to help the people, but the back of house is where we get lost and struggle, and can sometimes be, to our detriment. Like, if we don't know the budget, if we don't have succession plans, if we don't have this pivot plan, if we don't have strategic plans, if our board is not trained and clear about their roles and responsibilities, then the stuff that you're doing in the front of house that the community gets to see, it really doesn't matter, because it's going to crumble if you don't have this. And that is what we struggle with for so many years. I knew how to connect with children because I had been working with young people in youth development since I was 19. So it was never, that, and it was never hard for me to connect with these kids or to talk to their parents or to understand the system. I know the impact that I want to make. I had worked in nonprofits and I had an idea of how it was supposed to work and run and look, but if you don't know it's the trees, if you don't know the intricacies of it, and that to me is capacity building. For most people who want to be impactful, you need to understand this part of it just as much as you need to understand whatever your issue is. You got to be able to wear both of those hats. And so many of us only have the passion for the issue. We don't understand the business of nonprofit, and it's a business. And I got a little tiny rant. You cannot learn this whole industry via DM. You can't DM somebody and ask them how to do a whole job. Like, I don't know why people think nonprofits are a hobby. It's not. This is not like, I don't know. It's not a drive-by thing. This is work. It's a whole industry and career. So I don't know why people think they can DM me to find out how to start. It drives me insane. Because it's just like, we can't do this here. It's too much.
Yeah, listen, and your rant is the DM. My rant is Google and YouTube University. I am amazed at the people who think I can go to a 30-minute workshop on Zoom and it's all theory. It is not practical. It is not relevant to the day-to-day, not to discount any of it, right? I'm just saying, application-wise,
Right.
it is lacking sorely.
Mhm.
And so I think that my way of approach, is, in my mind, you can correct me, Zakiya, in my mind, it is more of a deep immersion into the full picture,
Mhm.
Not the silos. Oh, let me go over here and learn about donor, cultivation. Oh, let me go over here and get a grant, but I don't have a budget. I don't have a board. I don't have connections with the community, nor do I know how to put that system together. So getting a link that further puts things in silos or in capsules, it's outward facing and not inward facing.
Right.
And the only way that we can be competitive and grow in organizations is to be inward facing. I mean, all of the elements of the organization have to be connected. And I have my triangle. I got program, I got finance, and I got development. Anyway, listen, you guys want to be at the 2-day masterclass. We could go on here for 2 days and talk about it, but you have got to be in the space. I want you all to register. You are free to come in person. I'm going to be in Houston, August 25th and 26th. That's Thursday, Friday, in Houston. Okay. If you guys want to come live, I'll be in Houston. Zakiya will be with me in Houston as well, not in person, but she will be present and sharing with the group. She'll be with me in person in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm excited about that. I'm excited to see you, my friend, also. But September 1st and 2nd, we will be in Charlotte together. I'm hoping to be able to do Atlanta if there is enough of an interest. But let me say this, guys, if you are not able to travel on those days, right? You may have family, you may have responsibilities where you cannot travel. We are also working on doing a live stream where you can participate in a private group that we've got set up already, and you will be able to engage through that live group. Okay. So don't feel like, oh my gosh, I can't attend, so then I can't participate. That's not true any longer. I'm really grateful about that. And for those of you who say, I need the information, but I may not be able to take off both days, by registering and being involved in this live group, you can have access to all the replays. And you guys, you're going to have 30 days of follow-up, okay, after the group. Why? Because I'm a person that wants you to do it. I'm not a person that says, hey, this is great information. No, I want to stand over you to make sure you do it. That's my control. That is I want everybody to do it. But that's also my passion for your success. And you know me, Zakiya, I'll show up. You
showed up on my porch in South Carolina from California, y'all. She was like, you dragging your feet. Now, I'm not saying that all of you are going to be very clear, because I am territorial and y'all ain't me, but she's going to love on you. And she would know, in all seriousness, truly, y'all. You know how some people will sell you something and be like, whatever happens after that is your business. This is not this woman. This is not her. That is not it. There is follow-up. She remembers. She's like, remember that thing we applied for in February? I'm like, girl, kinda. How'd it go? And she wants to know. And she's I mean, it's really like technical support, like technical assistance that you didn't even know came with the deal. But here you are. It's a bonus. It's like TA work. I didn't know that came with this. So 30 days. This is news to me. 30 days.
Yeah.
Y'all better get in here. Y'all better
Yeah,
get in.
you're going to have accountability. You're going to have a team of people following up on you, making sure that you are implementing the information. Listen, information in your head that is not actualized within your organization leaves you ill-equipped to lead your board, to invite and engage your volunteers in a meaningful way. And ultimately, those things impact your ability to raise money, right? I am like the nonprofit whisperer. I can tell you what people are going to say after meetings. I can tell you what to say when you go into meetings. I remember when Zakiya said, someone's coming. I said, Zakiya, they're coming with a check. No, no, no. Yes, yes, yes. They're coming with a check.
The whole speech, she was like, you can say that, but you don't need it. I was ready. It was so strange. I couldn't believe you knew that. But I mean, I think you knew because you knew what we had been doing. You're like, they see you. They see it. They want to give you some money. And they did. And it was a nice one. It was a good one.
Yes. So listen, guys, go ahead and register. Get a chance to learn more from Zakiya. She's going to be doing a presentation as well as sharing her experience. She is a mighty woman of wisdom. She's been doing this from many different angles in terms of executing the program, implementing and having conversations in the community about the value of the program and the struggles of, what is to get the money with the relationships, right? And the things that you have to have in place for them to consider. Right. We as people of color have a whole different hurdle to jump.
Whew, say it, Jen.
Okay. And if we're not prepared to jump it, then we're left frustrated by the hurdle. My thing is, let's get over the hurdle. I have done it. I've shown people how to do it. I can show you how to do it. Okay. Don't let any fear or uncertainty stop you. This is going to be a pivotal 2 days within your organization. I promise you. I promise you. And those who have taken my advice and my coaching have all succeeded. They have done what they wanted to do, and I've had the opportunity to applaud them and to celebrate with them. I'm a big, big, big advocate of celebrating what you did. I didn't do it. Zakiya did it, and everyone else that were in the class. So I want to celebrate you as you get the information and do it, okay? I don't want to keep you guys any longer, but I just wanted to say thank you, Zakiya, for trusting me, for just being a light of confidence and success. Success is not measured just in accomplishing possibly whatever you want to do, but just the doing, this taking the step and being committed to that. I want you all to learn from this lady here that juggling family, kids, everything.
They right there. I mean, I'm amazed that they have not interrupted this live. I am amazed that they let me get through this. But yeah, no, I tell people often that I would not be, Seeds would not be, and I know you say we did it, but you gave me the tools, and that is super valuable. And just having your support, because you don't play, Jen. I remember I almost got dumped one time. Jen was like, either you're gonna do it or you're not gonna do it. If you're gonna do it, let's do it. If not, I got people I'm trying to help that's trying to do it. Right. And I was like, well, let me get on the train, because I think she really might leave me for real. I think she might be serious. And I got on, and we've seen some really, really good things come out of this organization. We have. And so I agree with you. I really hope that people take this opportunity and come and work with us, right? Because that's what was so powerful about it for me. You worked right alongside us. Like, it felt like team and community. And that's important for someone like me, to feel like I'm not doing this by myself. And so I hope that they will take this opportunity to come and work with us and let us, hear them out and listen for the things that they might, be missing. Because I was missing some things that seem small, but were so pertinent to this journey. And I want to see us win. And like you said, Jen, Black folks have a hurdle that's different from other people. And I am somebody who often gets stuck on the fact that we have a hurdle. I get mad, and I'm mad that it even exists. And that can keep me from doing my work. It can be debilitating if I focus on the fact that there is a hurdle. But having people in my life like Jen, like, yep, you're right, it's there. It ain't fair. We gonna jump it, or we gonna keep yelling at it? What are we doing? Are we yelling at the hurdle, or are we jumping it? What's it gonna be? And so I think if there are people listening who have that too, because I have it, y'all, and I can get real indignant about it sometimes. But if we still choose to do the work, we can't get stuck there. And there are ways over it. I've seen it. And I hope that y'all will come. I hope that y'all will come. I'm looking forward to it. It's also gonna be fun because we doing the work where we're gonna cut up a little bit too. Yeah. You know, I want to laugh.
And I love a good laugh, and we do have fun. It's going to be work, and we're not just talking theory. We're going to put pen to paper, and we're going to strategize, and we're going to get it done. And you guys are going to have an opportunity for some accountability. You know, that's not a bad word. And expectation. And my expectation is high. I will not lower my expectation. My expectation is high. You look like you got something to say.
No, it's high. I'm agreeing. Sometimes I'm like, I better do this thing because I'll ask about it.
My expectation is high that if this is a calling that you have to touch and serve lives, then I want to support you in that. And I'll kick your hind parts all the way as far as I can to help you be as successful as possible. All right, guys, listen, thank you so much, Zakiya. Again, I want you all to go out and have yourself the most amazing day. Isn't that what Tabitha says? And even if you can't have a good one, don't you go messing up nobody else's. I want you all to register for real. I want to see you in these spaces. And again, if you have a question about the 2-day, if you have a question about how you can be a part of it, inbox me. I'm happy to do that to answer any questions that you guys might have. All right. I want to see you in the space. Like, comment, share. I'm going to put some of this on the public page as well. We only have a limited space. Let me just say that. We can't have 30 people, but we do need you. All right. So if you want to be in the room, then just go ahead and register. Thank you again, Zakiya. I love you bunches. I love you. I love you. I love you. I can't wait to learn from you in the sessions that you're going to have. And you guys, we're in for a ride, and we're going to make the end of this year the best to prepare us for going into next year. All right, guys, I will see you all later. Thank you, Zakiya.